Tirawayam makutoria sititehe yanoku tumurayata wasatana makiwata yatukuri yamata wata yerati yamarati wati rati wakima tiwa ye. Namaste, good morning, beloved beings, good afternoon, good evening, whenever, wherever it may be and you may be. This is the sunrise sessions. We've been guided to come to this beautiful spot for sunrise sessions. Things I used to do a lot. I would do these love streams every morning. Now we're in a different place. And so today we're going to talk about the misfit, the rebel, the renegade, what was the other names? The golden sheep. We're not going black and white. We're going the golden sheep, the odd one out. All of these aspects of you who have been drawn to this video, which I am very sure you can relate to being one of those. The misfit, the rebel, the renegade, the odd one out, the golden sheep. The golden sheep is that's a new one. no longer the black sheep. The golden sheep is where we are. So today we're going to talk about this, and because I very much feel like all of them and more that we don't have words for, and so the reason for this is that I see patterns. Something that has been, it's a theme, or it's some sort of, I don't want to call it an ability, because it seems to be, I have patterns arise easily and are seen easily, and dots are put together, and connections between seemingly separate things fall into peace, P-I-E-C-E, for me. Somehow I'm able to see these patterns. And so over the course of the years that I've been on this remembrance journey, I've interacted and guided and mentored and been mentored by many beings. And one of the really strong recurring themes is that those on this path of remembering this multidimensionality, starseed, light worker, wayshower, all those labels and names that we are none of, there seems to be the recurring theme that we are the misfit, the rebel, the renegade, the odd one out, the golden sheep. And so one very common theme is that we're the only one in the family that is that way. We're the weird one in the family. So I just need to check this mic is working okay. If you're watching live, could you just let me know that the mic is okay and that the C and the voice is okay? You can hear the voice all right? We're going to hear the C no matter what, because we're very close. That close? But if you just let me know in the comments that it's okay, because we're using like a little wireless mic I haven't used, but it looks to be okay. Yeah, so one very common theme is that we are the one in the family. It's generally the one in the family that thinks differently, that does differently, that moves differently, that sees things in just completely the opposite way sometimes. Katrina, thank you. Thank you, amazing. It's perfect. It is perfect. Okay, amazing. So, yes, very often we're the only one in the family that's weird. I love being weird. If you're watching here, you have to be a little bit weird. And if you're not, you'll probably not stay for very long. I am very happily, proudly weird. But it wasn't like that all of the time. The early years of this one's life, this one was a pure chameleon. And this is very important as well. And so I use that term, the chameleon. This one wanted to fit in and be accepted wherever it could, because it felt like an outsider on the inside all of the time. And so the young one became a chameleon, wanting to be everyone to everybody, and wanting to please, like a pure people pleaser, in the most unempowered way, and would change behaviors, change like everything to fit into a certain group or scenario, to try and be accepted, to try and feel like you're part of the group or whatever. That would be more in social friend type things. So that's just coming. I have no idea. I just get a title, and then no idea where it's going. But so yeah, that's something that was is noticed with this one. That because of in the early years not being comfortable with who you are as maybe the misfit, the rebel, the renegade, the odd one out, the golden sheep. Uh, there's this idea that you want to fit in and suppress some of those things. And then the opposite, the polarization of that is maybe we go, and this one also did this, is like you want to go to the extreme, you go the opposite, you want to be the extreme of that. So you were the total loner, the total misfit, the total, you want to take it to extreme so that by completely standing out or stepping apart, then you become unique and you're accepted because you're interesting or something along those lines. And so if you are watching this video, there is a very high likelihood that you would identify with some form of those, I would guess. And maybe you have taken it to extremes to stand out, and maybe it's gone into your later life as well. Or maybe you were the chameleon, like I did both extremes, where you're always trying to people please, you're always trying to fit in. You change who you are depending on who you're with and what circumstance. And so nothing is intrinsically good or bad. Nothing is like wholly positive or wholly negative. Everything has its potential uses. Everything has its potential to be beneficial and empowering, and everything has the potential to be disempowering and lead you to further away from who you are. And so that I see both those qualities now, and I'm going to call them qualities, as something that can be used, when it's used with consciousness and presence, it can be used in a beneficial way. Beneficial for all, not just beneficial for making an uncomfortable being, an uncomfortable misfit feel like they fit, making a rebel be part of the crowd, the renegade part of the crowd, the odd one out, not odd anymore, the weird one, not weird, the golden sheep fit into the black and white. Because the ability to empathize with others, the ability to shift yourself and shift your communication and your way of being dependent on the state of awareness and the state of emotional experience of another is actually a really beautiful gift. It's a beautiful skill. It's a skill that would really benefit the world now, because a lot of the world, when in their unconscious forgetting state, can't empathize with others. Like if you haven't seen the video yesterday, we talked about standing in another's shoes, walking, in conflict. How do we? One of the steps is to really see, can we, even if we don't agree, see, can we find a way of understanding how someone could come to an opposing view to us. And so being able to empathize and step into another's shoes and see through their eyes is a real gift. But as a young being, this one was, again, used as a chameleon. It was a desperate attempt to fit in. This group acts like this, talks like this, walks like this, does this, so I'm going to do that, so maybe I'll be accepted and fit in. Then the flip side, this group acts, walks, talks like this, does this, I'm going to do the complete opposite, so then I'm going to fit in, or I'm going to start my own group. And so again, on that other side, the gift and benefit of that is herd mentality, taking the sheep, beautiful sheep, the herd mentality, where the pressure, and this is so apparent in the last few years, where the pressure of the crowd, if you're not strong in your own presence and knowing who you are, and strong and clear in your knowing, in your truth, the pressure of the crowd to conform, the pressure of the society of doing a certain thing, so you must do it, acting a certain way, so you must act a certain way. So that extreme youthful naivete of trying to be the extreme misfit, the extreme rebel, renegade, the odd one out, the golden sheep, the multicolored sheep. There's a real gift in that now, because I literally could not give a shit if every being on the planet disagreed with how I see the world. I honestly would not care if I was the only one. If it's an inherent truth, if it's an absolute inner knowing at 11:11, I am absolutely 100% comfortable of being that one out of whatever many beings there is on the planet. That really doesn't affect me at all. And that's a good place to be whenever there is experiences arising that you know that's true to your heart, it's truly not for your highest good, but everyone's saying you should, and everyone's acting this way, so you should act this way. So, but polarization, I'm explaining probably quite the extremes of the polarization. What's important is the ability for neutralization. So the ability to be what I just shared, I don't care if I'm the only one. If I have an inherent known truth within me and everyone else thinks it's wrong, the lower level of that is like, fuck the world, I'm not doing this, they're all wrong, I'm right. That's the lower level of this. The expanded version of this is, I am so comfortable in my truth that I am absolutely, totally and absolutely comfortable that everybody else that I ever meet, let's say, and I'm getting into the extreme, it's unlikely that you would hold something that no one else would agree with, but just take it to extremes. You can neutralize this to, like, I'm so comfortable in my own truth, in who I am, that I have no need or desire to change anyone else, and especially all those that hold absolutely polarized opposite views to me. And I don't need to prove something to them, and they don't need to prove something to me, or convert or change. This is where evangelicalism in religion comes, where people go out to try and convert to whatever it is they want to convert. And that energy of trying to change another is a desperation, and it's a lower level of consciousness. So the chameleon can become an empathetic, beautiful being when neutralized and used from a higher perspective. And the rebel, I suppose it's more the rebel and the renegade, can become a very strong, clear, but also loving and accepting being that doesn't need to change and doesn't need anyone else to change and doesn't need validation from another to agree with their point of view. So this is the neutralization of those polarizations that this one went through. But so it's interesting where these goes when the little title goes. I have no idea where that's going to go. And so the misfit, the rebel, the renegade, the odd one out, the golden sheep. Why would you be born into a family where you are the only one that thinks the way you do, that acts the way you do? Did you ever ask that question? I know for many people, especially in the last few years, when this intensity of polarization was happening, many people, the pressure of it got too much, and it really rocked and shook relationships and broke relationships apart. And the energy that we've talked about in many of these love streams, the energy that wants to divide and rule and conquer, really did separate families, break up relationships, and put a dividing line down the middle of humanity in many various things. And so it's important to know that the bigger picture. Don't look at the horizon, look from above. Why would you be born into a family where you're the only one that sees a different way? Why are there children being born now that are so far removed from the reality that we've all collaborated on, that they just literally could not fit into it? They're here to completely revolutionize that. So why would we be in a family like that? So you can look at it in two ways. Like everything, you can look in two ways. So on the one side, you're the rebel, the renegade, the misfit, the odd one out, the golden sheep, to show a different way and to be possibly an example to others, but not to try and change them. This is the important thing. You can be an example, but not an evangelicist that's trying, evangelicist? Whatever that word is. Evangelicist. I don't know what's kissed. You know the word. Ones that try to convert to their idea, usually religious. Evangelist. Okay, can someone download that word into this human? We'll sort it out later. Is to maybe show an example, but not force your right example on those who don't know. It's also maybe for you to learn. When I say you, I'm talking to me. To learn. Um, this word needs to come as well. Come on. Humbleness. To be humble. To be in a family where you think you know it all, like every teenager does, but I'm talking about in the broader. And you've got it all worked out and you've got it all right. And it's to be humble to know that all I know is I know nothing. All I know is I know nothing. And just because you feel and think and see things a certain way, and everyone in your family, let's just use that example, sees it a different way, you have to be humble and see that there's infinite perspectives and there's no one wrong or right. And so why would you be born into family? You can learn humbleness, you can learn empathy, you can remember that you are part of a non-separated, non-dual reality that has infinite potentials, and you're just showing one perspective within a group or a family that may offer an example as an opportunity, but also may show you that just because you feel and think something is right doesn't mean that it's right. A relative right. Everything is relative. Every truth, every right and wrong, every true and false are half truths and half false and half right and half wrong. Because in this dual world, okay, of course, today we're talking straight into the dual world. We didn't get to our absolute reality, but we will always end there. Whether we start there or it'll always come. Everything's a half truth. Even your most deeply held truths, it's a half truth because someone can play the other end of the scale. Someone can see it from the other end because that's the nature of polarity. It's the nature of this duality. There's the ability for something to be simultaneously true and false and neither. There's the possibility of two people seeing the exact same event and having absolutely different reports or ideas of what happened. So, yes, Katrina's putting in quotes, right. It doesn't exist. And what just reminds me of one of the quotes from the book that came up recently is, do you want to be inhale, exhale? Do you want to be right or do you want peace? And that was a very powerful quote in the book for this one because how many times this one wanted to be right. Because I don't know about you, put in the comments if you agree. I feel like even the staunchest misfit, rebel, renegade, odd one out, golden sheep, there's a part of them that really wants to feel like theirs is the right way. Even the ones that want to stand out and be, in that lower way. The deepest part of you really wants to be accepted and really feel like your way is the way. And being the rebel is right. You need to rebel, you need to rise up, you need to be a renegade, you need to be the misfit. You can't just conform, you can't just follow along. Hinaraya pokraya tisata yatoruya mtadi itwayana kesitwaya tira hitaraya te matiwayan. Yeah, there's a deep part of you that really wants to be accepted, wants to be loved, wants to be wants to be a part. One part of you wants to rebel and the human words are not coming so much. I think it's rebel, yes. Well, a real part of you wants to rebel, but an equal part of you, because of this polarization, an equal part of you deeply longs to be accepted, deeply longs to be loved, deeply longs to be seen, to be heard as you are. And so, whenever we hold on so strongly and deeply to these identities, so if I identify as the misfit, the rebel, the renegade, the odd one out, the golden sheep, then I make an identity that is a lie identity, the little I making an identity out of a misfit, a rebel, a renegade. So we can use these patterns, tendencies, to see things differently as a temporary identity, but don't make it a long-term lie identity that keeps you stuck where you separate yourself from the collective in a way that keeps you from the beauty of communion and community and openness and the potential of simultaneous opposing truths and the beauty of community. And the greatest piece of advice that I was ever given by a human was from my father. And I've told him this before. And I've read hundreds of books. Just in audiobooks recently, I checked the stats in the last 5 years. I've read 2 months. So like, if you imagine 24 hours a day, January and February, only listening to audiobooks. That's what I've done in the last 5 years in audiobooks. But the best piece of advice I ever received was from my father. And he said, when the crowd is walking, you run. And when the crowd is running, you walk. And that really stuck with me and struck me. And there is a time when everyone's running and it's going to be fun to run along. And there's a time when you're running and everyone's walking and you're going to slow down and take a rest. See, and be held and feel part of community and be in communion. So nothing is absolute. In this reality, nothing is absolute. The only thing that is absolute is the absolute itself. And the absolute cannot be talked about. It can only be alluded to. And so everything that has been shared here is a half-truth. It's true, false, and neither. And where we fall in that is just dependent on where we are polarized in the moment. And the neutralization is the mastery in this polarized dual reality. When we can neutralize the misfit, the rebel, the renegade, the odd one out, the golden sheep, but use the benefits of that, use the real, use it in a way that's beneficial, but we can neutralize it whenever it doesn't serve us or the collective to be all of those things. We can neutralize it. And whenever we feel like we want to just fit in and we want to act, there are certain times, places, events, locations where certain behaviors are conducive to the harmony of the whole. There's certain ways of being that are just conducive, and it might be seen as rules, and the rebel or the misfit doesn't want to conform to those rules and doesn't want to follow. But there's wisdom behind some of these, what the rebel would see as silly rules as well, because they do give the opportunity for harmony for those living in an intense and polarized and really challenging earth, in a challenging experience called this body. So the invitation today is to find your misfit, your rebel, your renegade, your odd one out, your golden sheep. If by some miracle you're watching this video and you don't see any part of yourself in this, I'm absolutely amazed that you would make it this far. But notice if you've polarized to one side or the other. You've been you're the complete misfit and you just stay away from all of your old friends like this one. I've talked many times about my 20-year journey of addiction, and I as I literally say this, I realize that I have completely removed myself from anyone, pretty much everyone that was in my world at that time. And there is a reason for that, because of the strength of character wasn't enough. But that will be 10 years this year, and just as I speak this now, I am going to begin to neutralize that, because I'm in a place now where that I'm strong enough in my knowing, and that those forms of addiction, especially around alcohol and drugs, do not have any power over me at all. Like literally none. It's 10 years this year. It will be on the 16th of March, the day before Paddy's Day. It will be 10 years sober. The greatest moment of this lifetime for me. The most transformative moment of this lifetime, let's say. And it led to the greatest moments of this lifetime, I will say. Do you notice where you have polarized to one extreme or another, especially in the spiritual world? It's very easy for us to completely polarize and totally go to one extreme. Again, maybe this is just for this one. I don't know. Maybe it is just, this is just for this one to hear, because I have polarized to extremes. And where can you neutralize these, still using all of the benefits and the gifts that the Misfit, the Rebel, the Renegade, the power, the strength, the don't give a shit energy? And where can you neutralize the chameleon, where you're trying to be all things to everyone, and you're the people pleaser, you're the one that tries to fit in, the one that changes like the weather? Where can you neutralize that with being like in empathy and real love, with differing opinions, with opposing views, being like really empathizing? Like, instead of trying to be like everyone and be in all things to everyone, can you empathize and really get to know how someone could have this belief or idea that's so far from where you would see it or feel it, but you can empathize with it without losing any part of yourself, like the little chameleon did. So, seems to be that the theme of this is, in this field that we are in, if you're watching these videos, there seems to be a theme of the Misfit, the Rebel, the Renegade, the odd one out, the golden, I was going to say the golden child, the golden sheep, and also the people pleaser, the trying to fit in, or the separating yourself from the reality. And notice where you have polarized yourself, or you have the tendency to polarize yourself to the extreme, and see where can you neutralize. Meaning, neutralize doesn't mean that you lose the gifts of those polarizations, because each has gifts, but you neutralize them by using their benefits and letting go of their lower energy aspects. And you can be in the middle, playing it all, being it all, seeing it all. And so we come full circle from the place that we never left, to know that we are it all. There is only one, there is only this, there is only bliss. There is no I in bliss. There is no I in Martin. There's no little I. How do I get this on? There is only this. And the Misfit, the Rebel, the Renegade, the odd one out, the golden sheep, wants so much to be an individual and a standout. And the chameleon wants so much to be part of the crowd. And the funny thing is, we are already that. We're all of it. We've always been. We can only be. There is nothing other than this. We're already this. We're playing that we're not. We're dreaming that we're not. And this dream can be a beautiful dream or a crazy nightmare. And that is perfect as well. So where have you polarized? Where can you bring neutralization to this? And the takeaway for this one is to, particularly where I have removed myself from environments and people and places and things that I wasn't in a place in consciousness that I was able to go back in, I am going to begin that process of reintegration and neutralization with presence, with power, with love, with empathy. Thank you, Katrina. This is great. The golden sheep is also the golden child. I love it. I love it. Okay, we've gone over half an hour. So, in the sun, let's give a little panoramic. So, thank you for joining. Thank you for investing your sacred, priceless attention in this expression of the one that is, the one we are. And this is just one perspective on infinite potential, and you have your own unique, beautiful perspective and perspectives of infinite potential. So keep being the misfit, the rebel, the renegade, the odd one out, the golden sheep. Keep being the one that is able to empathize, the one that is able to revolutionize, and most importantly, recognize who is the one that isn't the one that sees it all, that knows it all, that is already whole, no matter what is appearing. Until next time, from my heart to yours. The divine in me sees, loves, and honors the divine in you. Namaste. We are